I want to talk about scaling your business and scaling your company. How were you able to scale and grow your business?
I mean, scaling is team. You need team. You definitely need that. Having people in your space every day, the synergy has to be right. Having a great lawyer, having a great accountant is very important. Scaling, you cannot scale without a good team around you.
What's up, y'all? For this special edition of Money Talks, I'm here with a friend who I've watched blown up. It went from one shoe to an enterprise. Please welcome Jessica Rich to the show.
What's
Jessica, how
up?
you
Good. How
doing?
are
It's been
you?
way too long. How
I
are
know.
you?
I've been not seeing you in like literally a year and a half.
I know.
He hates LA now.
No, I do not hate LA.
Kidding.
I just been traveling the world
Right.
and I see your brains everywhere I go.
Great.
So we're gonna start off. What does money mean to you?
Money is my everyday. I get up, I get it. It's something I've been driven by for a very young age. My mom always told me, Jess, you and money are like match made in heaven. I'm like, well, mom, that's the one thing that drives the entire world. So why wouldn't I want to get the most of it?
Really? But at a young age, you were already driven on making it?
Yeah. I was like, mom, what's the most money job I can get? And she's like, well, doctor or lawyer. I was like, okay, I guess I'll figure out one of those.
Re-
I literally went straight for like what makes the most money. Yeah. And not that fashion does, it can, but I've always, as a young age, always wanted it because we come from nothing,
Yeah.
We have my mom a single parent, two jobs, not a lot of money anywhere. My mom was trying to get money from my dad. He sent a little bit, but it was really just her taking care of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now, how proud is your mom that your company and your name has blown up?
She's like, Jess, you made it. And she didn't tell me this until like 2 years ago. And I was like kind of scared, like, Mom, are you not happy with what I've done? And she's like, honestly, Jess, I'm sorry. I just didn't think you'd get this far. And you very surpassed everything I thought you'd be able to do.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, you taught it. You're the one who still this drive into me. So
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning.
yeah.
All right. Let's start with the first shoe, the first design. Tell me about the process. I'm sure people told you you couldn't do it or whatever they thought of it, but how do you get from that first shoe to your first store?
The first shoe was just something I slept on. I was like, you know what is it that I need in my closet? And when I designed that shoe for myself and what I thought that I needed, the world just like, oh yeah, we need it too. But I also have a good influence with fashion girls and influencers and celebrities. I think that's really also the other half that made it so seamless. If I didn't have the relationships I had, my designs were probably cool and they were great. But, being who I am as a girl and a brand owner and just like someone who like has always been authentic with myself, that's kind of what also made it all happen.
But I don't want to gloss over some of the things you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, relationships,
Yeah.
very, very important.
Very important.
How do you develop those relationships with the influencers, with the celebrities? How do you build that?
I mean, just even with this, me knowing you 20 years from 106 in Park, me being an extra on 106 in Park, right before my reality TV days, and I was on set, and I stayed in contact with him, and I just stayed in contact. Staying in contact with people is the most important thing to do. And sometimes you'll feel like, oh, am I bothering them? Or, they get a million DMs a day. Or I'm like, no, you have to just do it because it's not about trying to get something out of someone. But if you naturally have a good relationship with someone just off energy, then why not try to explore that relationship and keep it going?
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just
staying on.
that, yeah.
All right, so you got the first shoe.
Mhm.
You get somebody to help you make the first shoe.
I sourced it on Alibaba. I literally went
What's the no? Okay.
and found a factory who made shoes.
Okay.
And I actually looked up replica Christian Louboutins because I wanted to find someone who could make the same shape as my first design was like a So Kate.
Yep.
So when I found this factory, the sample was $50 and I literally got it made, sent to me, tried it on, and it worked. And I'm like, oh my God, off of Alibaba. That's what
Wow.
happened.
So from a $50 order,
Yeah.
now you got your first sample.
Got my first sample, got it in the mail, loved it, tried it on, but I didn't buy enough stock for it.
Okay.
So I was scared.
What does that mean?
Like they wanted me to order 250 pairs of shoes.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I can't do that because I don't even know I'm going to sell one of them.
Yeah.
So I got it to my house. I said, hey, I'm going to give it to all my influencers, see what they like, think about it. And everyone's like, oh my God, I need it. I need it.
Well, okay. So backtrack. So how many pairs does that first thing get you?
Just one.
So you have one,
One sample.
and now you have your friends try it on and take photos for it.
I took pictures 30 different ways. Like I
Okay.
took here.
Yeah.
Sent the 30 pictures to all the girls,
Yep.
the one shoe, and they all posted at the same exact time.
Wow.
And that's how we all I did 10K in an hour.
You did 10K an hour. So now you have your orders,
Yep.
and now you have to actually make these shoes.
Nah, it's pre-order, yeah.
How challenging was that process?
Well, honestly, with that being my first order, they were kind of nervous about making them so quickly because I did need them like within 3 weeks. But the first order miraculously came back amazing. It was perfect. And from that minute on, I kept selling that same shoe for like 2 months, and that's when I started feeling confident to get into the next design.
Okay.
But my whole trick of the trade was I did clear shoes for a year, and
Yeah.
I think clear shoes at that time was such a major thing because Ye had just did 2 pairs,
Yeah.
but I was kind of the same time as him, and that's what made me, like, more popular because I clear, 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 clear.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always jump ahead on this story, but I don't think I've heard you tell this part of the story to me.
Never.
And it's such a granular story. I think so many people think that you got to just build a wall in one day,
Right.
but this is brick by brick. This
Liter
is literally one individual brick at a time. Okay, so we got the first shoe.
Yeah.
We got the clear shoe. We sold 10 grand.
Right.
We're feeling ourselves a little bit. Let's fast forward to DSW with that first $30,000 order. Tell me about that process and how you started getting it into stores.
Yes, oh my god, so that was kinda crazy. So my first retail store was on Melrose, and I was working out of my house, so I was like, "Mom, I need a space," you know? So I went to Melrose, got the place, and the rent was $7,500, and I was like, "I don't know if I could do $7,500 a month, this is so expensive." Like, I did money, but, like, I'm not making that much yet. And she said, "Jessica, if you don't take this opportunity, you'll never know, and you're gonna walk by one day, and someone's gonna have that store, and it could have been yours. Just do it." And I was like, okay, so I had a little money in the bank. I got the first and last month's rent together, and I moved in, and I was like, "Okay, here we are." DSW called me like a week later, and they were like, "Yeah, we want wholesale." I didn't know what wholesale even meant, you know?
Yeah.
But I sent them a line sheet. All I had was like 6 styles of shoes, and they bought all 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like 30,000 in one time. Like, oh, this is so cool.
I love it. That $30,000 check,
It's like crazy, yeah.
I know it had to feel
It
crazy.
did. It did because it was like not like an online order.
Yeah.
Like orders come in all day, like one, but this the 30. Okay, like all right,
Boom.
we made it.
Okay, so we went from $50
Right.
to 10,000
Right.
to now 30,000, right? And now you have a store that you have $7,500 a month rents.
Yeah.
You got to make that overhead. But then fast forward, how did you get into the Jazeppi store? Because I remember I'm walking through the Beverly Center and I look and I see my friend's name in between Tom Ford and Fendi, and I'm like, hold on, did I miss a step here? What's going on here? So tell me how you got that.
That was crazy. So honestly, I was in Melrose, COVID, 2020, about to go into 21, and I remember putting an application on Robinson in a store, but there was nothing available, so I couldn't get anything. So long story short, they called me and say, "Jess, we have a place for you." And I was like, "Okay, I'm in a whole lease, but I would love to move, you know?" So I'm like, I can probably get out of this lease with my landlord. So I went and checked it out, and I'm walking, and they're taking me around the corner, and I'm like, wait, what's over here? And they're like, oh, we have a great store for you. I was like, Giuseppe, are you serious? And I walked in. I'm like, oh, is he taking everything? Like, no, everything's already built out for you. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And putting my shoes, I'll never forget. I put my first shoe on the shelf with the Giuseppe like stuff, and I was like, Lord, this is so amazing. And I started crying. I literally started crying on the carpet. I was like, this is insane. And that was like a real like, wow, I made a moment, you know?
I remember my first time on set with, really big actors, right? The first time I'm like doing a scene and I'm with Kevin Hart or Taraji, it was exciting, but I also felt an imposter syndrome. Like, am I supposed to be here?
Right,
And I think your story, even though it's a completely different field,
right.
it kind of feels the same. I'm only imagining
Yeah.
because like you're in this, but now you stepped into your purpose and you are supposed to be there. So can you talk to me a little bit about
Yeah.
how it must have felt versus what you had to go through to really cement yourself in there?
You know, it's kind of crazy that you say that because there's times when like I'll look up and I'm on an article and I'm like on Vogue or like, J-Lo and Jessica Rich. And I'm just like, is that my name? Like, is that really my shoe? And it happens over and over and over to the point where like all the hard work finally pays off, but it doesn't still feel real, honestly.
Yeah.
Like even when I won my award in 2023 with Christian Louboutin and like
Come on now.
I'm sitting back there with Idris Elba about to go on stage. I'm like, am I sitting with Christian Louboutin?
Come on now.
And Idris' wife's going, oh my God, I love your stuff.
I have to correct you though. Christian Louboutin was sitting with you.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is.
Thank you. But it just still feels unreal, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, as an African American to get this far, it's almost impossible, to be honest. But I literally just blame it on like, the world not seeing people who want to continue to keep going that far.
Yeah.
Because as you know, look at you in your space. Like Terrence, I will never forget the minute I turn on the television, I see E! News, Terrence J, and I was like, are you serious? how did you get on E! News? Because the hosting world is not a big world,
Yeah.
and you've been able to, like, skyrocket, and I give you all your flowers.
Yeah, I know how to keep a job.
Yeah,
One thing I
you
want
really
to do
do.
is figure one out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about your award. You spoke about these accolades. I want to talk about scaling your business and scaling your company because you've gone from, like we said, a mom and pop style shop to now being in Nordstrom's to now going directly to consumers. How were you able to scale and grow your business?
I mean, scaling is team. You need team. You definitely need that. I mean, that's something I was very nervous about hiring because having people in your space every day, the synergy has to be right. You know, they hear a lot of conversations, they see a lot of things that go up and down. So scaling, you cannot scale without a good team around you. Having a great lawyer, have a great accountant is very important. I remember when I was running my own books for the first 2 years of my business, and I saw the tax bills come over. I'm like, wait, did no one see that? I didn't see that bill, and I'm like, IRS. Oh my God, I'm here. Don't seize anything, please. But there's been times where, you know, you're like, I need more, like, you know, help behind you.
Yeah.
But doing that and then knowing when to scale, like, I didn't want to do retail right away. That's something I knew was bad for my company. Like, when you get in retail stores, you have to meet the demand like no other because they'll just drop you otherwise. So just kind of feeling your customer base to see if you think you should really go further than you should before you should. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
How do you make sure you have the perfect price point?
Oh my goodness. I do a very modest markup. Like my shoes, let's just say they retail for $225. My cost on that, I just do the real retail conversion. So if it's $50 for a shoe, you double that for your wholesale
Yeah.
and you do 2.2 times that. Like I don't want to charge hundreds of dollars when I know I can. I just don't want to do that.
Break down that conversion for me one more. I want to break down these numbers for the people in the back.
Yes,
All right, this
yes.
is Money Talk. Break down that conversion one more time.
Yeah, so if you buy a shirt, let's say for $25, your wholesale is double that. So you want to have a wholesale price in place in case someone comes to you and says, "We want to purchase your product." So right away, you're already making double your like double your amount when you sell it
Got it. So your $25 shirt, you got to already put it out there for 50
for the retailer,
for the
not
retailer.
for the consumer.
Got it.
So once you have the $50, you then take your 2.2 times the 50, and that's your retail cost.
Okay.
And that's when you sell it to the consumers.
Uh,
So your net is the large number minus the 25, and then now you get the whole big profit in the middle.
Gotcha.
So you see brands like Gucci and all these people spending $900. They're only paying like under $100 for this stuff.
Wow.
I know. So when I see, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're making so much more money.
So now when you make that transition to retail to sustain such big orders, do they give you upfront capital or do you have to they don't.
They
So
don't.
you still have to crank out the same amount of shoes on fast orders, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
because there's a supply and demand and you have to
Yes. So what happened with me with this Nordstrom's first time getting in there, they sent me a PO for $250,000 and it cost me $125 to do so. I only had $100,000 in my account. That's all I had. And I called my accountant and I was like, yo, what am I gonna do? And she's like, well, Jessica, I don't know. You can't afford it. But I couldn't lose the order. So I called my really good friend. He's like, well, ask them for a deposit. So I did, and they actually gave me a deposit of 125, which normally doesn't happen. But if you work with your retailer and tell them, just be honest with them, sometimes they can bend some stuff for you because they normally would never have done that.
wow.
But now I have a factor in place in case we do get like, you know, orders that we can't afford, that we can't do, then we'll just do a factor.
The power of the ask
Yeah,
to just put it out
I
there.
have to. Otherwise, you never know.
What have been some of the challenges you faced in business?
I would say relying on production because sometimes things do go wrong. We did have a 1 month order that was like a month and a half late to Nordstrom, so I lost $150,000 on that order, which is crazy. But I couldn't. What can I do? I mean, China's working really hard.
Yeah.
Italy's working really hard, and the most you can do is just hope to God it gets there on time. But they understand, and they'll just kind of like give you a little bit like a discount off your
Yeah.
money they owe you. But otherwise, they're okay with it. You know that, and then also team. Like I've had people come in. I've had them come in and steal contacts. I've had them come in and try to recreate what I've done, learning from me. Like there's a lot of things that you get behind the scenes as an owner. And then me being as cool as I am, they kind of figure I'm their boss. So but sometimes that happens. You know, just not being so close to your employees can be a very big thing too. And also just like haters. Like people don't
Yeah.
the higher you
I
go,
want
people
to
don't
see you do well sometimes.
yeah, they don't care. It's girls I used to hang out with a long time ago don't
Yeah.
even talk anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I want to talk about partnerships.
Okay.
I remember when I saw you did the deal with Steve Madden. I was like, wow, I wonder how a deal like that works
Yeah.
when you're coming up and you strategically align with other people in your space. How do you put that together, and how do you monetize it when you're going into a system?
So the Steve Madden collaboration honestly was organically through Nordstrom. So Nordstrom's contacted me and said, Jessica, Steve Madden reached out to us for you. And I was like, what does he want? Like, I was kind of nervous at first. I thought maybe I copied something. Long story short is he came into Nordstrom's and he saw my stuff on the floor, was inquired. Come to New York, let's talk. And I was like, am I going to fly to New York to see Steve Madden? Like, this is so crazy. And I get there and he's like, how did you do this?
Wow.
And I'm like, what do
He
you
asked
mean?
you
Yeah.
how you did it.
Yeah. He's like, how the heck did you do this? I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, you're sitting next to Steve Madden tables all over Nordstrom's and I keep seeing your brand. And
Wow.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, so about that. I'm like, well, I love shoes and I respect what you've done. But I feel like, a lot of girls in my caliber like higher end stuff and we don't always want to wear a cheap shoe.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create that, level of luxury that wasn't too expensive. And he's like, oh, yeah, I get it. He's like, "I always wanted to be like that price point, but it's just not my customer." He's like, "Let's do something together." And I was like, "Okay." And that's kind of how it happened. And then I designed a collection around it, and we had to push it 1 year actually because of timing with COVID and everything. But I had full control of all creative direction. His company did all the marketing. It did all like the outreach for everything, the press, and here we are. So that was probably the most iconic, craziest thing ever.
Wow. Tell me about how the growth and how you went from Alibaba price point and
Mhm.
products
Right.
to Steve Madden adjacent and then higher level shoes.
Well, honestly, like the Alibaba, finding that factory, they did do good, but I've been through 5 factories before I got to the Nordstrom's. Like, I mean, it was great for a website, but once I started seeing like little small imperfections, continuing to source was very important. Looking online for more like, shoe partners in China and things like that. And people like love China because they honestly are so good at everything. Like they make things so fast. But for even Steve produces in China. But no, like sourcing is very easy there, of course, to any other place. But it's continuously trying to find better factories. So that's what
Mm.
happened. And continuing to just do trial and error through different people as well.
Tell me about your celebrity partnerships. I've seen your shoes on everybody from Michelle Obama to Jennifer Lopez and everybody in between. How does that happen?
That is just me being a crazy psychotic networker, honestly. Like I literally, coming from reality TV, coming to LA, being in the scene, I just made sure to know who I need to know in every single room I was ever in. Like that was my first thing. I even tell my girl Jess, like when you walk into a room, you have to analyze it, who's there, and you never know what you need the contact for. Not saying that you're here just trying to like, get somewhere, but if you're gonna be in LA, you might as well maximize what you can get out of it,
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. And honestly, my stuff is hot. I mean, I have
Yeah.
great shoes,
Yeah.
They're sexy, they're hot, they're affordable, and it's just something new and fresh.
Do celebrities and influencers still translate to actual sales?
They do not as much as they used to. Sometimes they do, but honestly, I think Instagram itself has slowed down so much when it comes to that. We know what it is when we see a post,
Yeah.
that it's no longer as organic and like profitable right away. But
Yeah.
I think the consistency of the celebrity continuing to wear you year after year, that's what's the stamp,
Yeah.
Continuing to see like the 50, okay, like can she not get enough of those shoes? No, she wants to keep wearing the brand. So
All right, before I let you go, what would you tell young Jessica walking down Melrose, looking at the shops and having big dreams of making it one day in this field? What would you tell her?
I would tell her to never give up. Don't ever think nothing's not obtainable. We can do anything you actually put your mind to, and try to live a little bit more. And one thing I do regret, because I remember Terrence like, "Just, why are you not in Miami?" I'm like, I know I don't travel, I don't do anything. I get so tunnel vision, but just have a little bit more life. It's more than just working, and just stay true to yourself. Like no matter what noise I see and competitors I see, I stay true to who I am. Even though I had people copy me, I've had you name it, copy me, but just remember you're the authentic person
Yeah.
and just never ever let anything phase you.
Got it. I'm with
Yeah.
the one of one. This is the real deal right here. Jessica Rich, thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so much.
for coming on Money Talks.
Thank you. Until next time.